the Indian Cricket Premier League was a professional sports league that was just shut down this past July because it was a scam. The games were staged. The league was 100% fake. The hoax was created with one purpose: to scam a handful of Russian gamblers by having them place bets on the staged games. And it worked. I mean, it worked until it didn't because they got arrested. But this thing worked, bro. Of what we know, they collected 900,000 US from these bets, and the league almost made it through its entire season, not getting busted until the semifinals of their playoffs. Look, some details are still emerging, but between what we know for a fact and what we can deduce, this is the greatest gambling hustle story of all time, hands down. So with that, let's get into the story. Moscow, Russia. It's past winter. Two men from different parts of India, Raj and Deepak, find themselves working at a bar in Moscow, and it's unknown, or I couldn't find how they ended up in Russia. Like, what the fuck, life choices. It's a bar that's notorious for gambling and sports betting. I don't know how long they've been working there, but they're definitely close enough to co-conspire at this point. And they are like, they see how much these guys, who I assume most are criminals in a gambling hangout bar, but anyway, Raj and Deepak, they see how much these guys gambling on sports and different things. They throw money around like it's nothing, gamblers, right? And like most degenerates, they see how these Russian guys bet on women's table tennis in China, Australian football, any games they can bet on, these degenerates will bet on. They don't need to know the rules. I mean, they don't even watch the games they bet on. They just see the score and the outcome. And I know this to be true as a gambler, right? And I've done it, bet on sporting events in another country that for all I know didn't even take place, right? So from what I gather or deduce, well, no, this is known that this is incepted there. They get close enough that one day Raj goes to Deepak and he's like, yo, Pak, these fucking Russians will bet on anything without knowing the rules of the game. And Deepak's like, yeah. Raj's like, when you go back to home, your poor farming village, Molipar, it's like, yeah, I know the name of my village. Why are you being a dick? He's like, look, when you go back there, if you were to somehow find a way to start some sort of fake cricket league, stream it, I could put it on the bar here, and these guys will 1000% bet on it. He's gone. Deepak had left already mid-conversation because it was so genius, right? He went right home. He left the beautiful warm climate of Russia at that moment and headed back to Molipar. Now, this town, and where Deepak is from and the scam would be organized, is rural. It's a poor farming town, and it's literally 2 hours of unpaved dirt roads just to get to the closest paved dirt roads. I'm not joking. It's fucking really in the middle of nowhere and poor. But anyway, our boy Deepak is back home. Raj is still working in the bar in Moscow, and he'll be the point of contact there for the bets once the league gets going. But so Deepak's back home in his hometown, and right away he starts building. They were going to pull this off. It had to be done right? And he had to have realistic players. So he was willing to invest heavily first in recruiting great cricket players. I'm totally kidding about this part. He literally just went up to the first farmers he saw and offered them $4 per game. He created a league of 5 teams, each representing 5 different cities in India, and hiring 24 farmers. So yes, if you're doing the math, there's 11 people on each cricket team, and they only had 24 player farmers in their league with little to no experience. So there were 5 team captains, and the other 19 guys, or extras, whatever you want to call them, actors or cricket players, they would just change uniforms and play on all the teams. So he created 5 teams from 5 cities in India, modeled the team colors and team names based on the actual cricket league in India, the Indian Premier League. He also named his league after the Indian Premier League, cleverly naming his creation the Indian Premier Cricket League, adding the name of the sport to it. A good touch to scam some Russians. So fast forward to May, a few weeks after the actual cricket season ends, games begin in our Indian Premier Cricket League. Now, this is what real cricket broadcasts look like. See, there's camera angles, zoom ins, you can see faces, whatever. Now, this is the broadcast that they were hoping to get these Russian gangsters to bet on. It was streamed on a YouTube channel that only had like 250 subscribers. Some reports say they had a commentator imitating the John Madden of cricket on the broadcast with fake crowd noise. Some other articles say there was no audio. Either way, it looked like fucking shit. You could see this, right? But none of this really mattered because they were only targeting a small group of Russian gamblers at only one bar in Moscow. And essentially, what the fuck do they care? Like, they only needed to convince a couple of these guys and they can make a ton of money, right? So sure enough, Raj puts the games on in the bar. And I imagine maybe he's like, oh, this is my team. I want to sweat the game. And then these drunk Russians, they start taking bets on the game, right? Now, I'll get into the details of it, but it's pretty obvious how this scam seemed to work, right? These games had no camera angles outside of the pitch or whatever this view is called. And I don't know cricket, but I'm pretty sure that this is the equivalent of watching an entire baseball game where you only ever see the pitcher and the batter. Like the camera angle does not change. So you could have a guy standing on second base yelling to the batter whether or not he should strike out or whatever he needed to do. And that's basically what these guys did. Deepak and his local friend Mateo, he now needed people in on the league with him there. They hired 2 referees, and these were the 4 guys there while Raj was in Russia, right? So Deepak and his friend Mateo were sitting right outside of camera with Deepak texting on Telegram with Raj, who was in Moscow, and then Mateo using walkie-talkies to relay to the referees what needed to happen in the game, and the referees would then whisper it to the players, right? So the referees would whisper the information to the player farmers, and they would make a player not accordingly. They didn't give a shit. Instead of having to farm, they got to play sports mixed with acting. In interviews, the farmers kept calling it getting paid to play cricket. So I think most of the scamming in the sport was done, I assume, like with ref calls or the wicket, whatever, dude. It's like, even if you're just acting, like it's better than fucking farming, right? To beat plowing. So the season went on and they kept collecting bets, and it eventually reached the semifinals of the playoffs, dude, which actually for a 5-team league means only 1 team was eliminated, and it's not nearly as cool as I thought it was when I first found the story. But either way, this league and these bets lasted 14 days and 9 matches, and they collected the equivalent of $900,000 US in bets from Russia. That we can confirm. All the information we have on this is from either the Russian or Indian police, and both of those police departments are notoriously not New York's finest. So how did they get caught? How did they get busted? Well, the police were driving by one night and they see bright floodlights in a town so poor that people are willing to work for $4 a day. They're like, what the fuck are these bright lights going on? They go over, they see expensive camera equipment. They're like, yo, wait, what is this? They then they confiscate their phones, and they see the Telegram bets back and forth to Russia, and they figure it all out, right? So they arrest Deepak, his local friend Mateo, the 2 referees, and they seize the $900,000 US. All the evidence they had that it was actually a scam was in these Telegram messages, back and forth saved, right? And WhatsApp right from the sidelines, and a paper trail of money. Now, Raj, back in Moscow, it's safe to assume he's being hanged, quartered, and mutilated every day by the KGB, straight up tortured. Multiple lives were ruined. Millions of dollars were stolen, probably. At least 1 person is dead or being tortured as we speak. But I think this is like an amazing, great story, you know? And I know you're probably wondering, what about the poor farmers, the players? Well, luckily the police released them from their cricket contracts, and none of them got in trouble or arrested. And in interviews, they're all like, yeah, I got paid to play cricket instead of farm. YOLO, bro. For a 2-week period, they got to pretend they were Major League Cricket players. I don't know how to wrap this video up, but I must shout out thank you to the sponsor of this video, your mom.
Now, he doesn't deserve any applause. He called with King Jack.